Hey everyone, welcome back to the Camino Cafe. If this is your first time here, welcome for the first time. I'm so glad that you decided to join us, whether you are listening on the podcast or if you're watching us on YouTube. So I wanted to give a shout out first off. Well, I should introduce myself. I'm Lee Brennan if this is your first time, and I've been walking the Camino since 2019, and I fell in love so much with the Camino that I actually moved to Spain. So now I'm living in Santiago and doing all the things that you can possibly imagine around the Camino. So I wanted to give a shout out though as we get started to all of the sponsors that have been supporting me over, past 2.5 years. I think the podcast has been going, and some folks have been with me since the very beginning, which I will mention. But first off, there's Camino Concierge, and that is Michelle, and she just puts out so much great information about the Camino. She has some really wonderful handouts that if you sign up for her newsletter, they're very, very helpful as far as what you need to pack and that sort of thing. Camino Confidence, that's Carol, and Carol is running tour groups, and she's been getting just raving reviews about the tours that she has recently led. And she not only does ones where she leads them, but also she will help you plan one if you're walking solo and you'd like to have some help and advice. Camino Stella, that's Andrea, and Andrea has been doing several different things, and ones I think you should really check out is she's offering Camino or Santiago stories. So when you get to Santiago, you can sign up and go on a kind of little story walk with her where she shares things about Santiago that you probably wouldn't learn otherwise. So it's really fun. She also has created a balm for your feet or for any other place that maybe is kind of hurting after your walk. And I use it just about every day. So it's a great product. And then we have a new sponsor, and that is Frank at Monument Moon Studios. And he creates beautiful jewelry that's all related to the Camino. And you will see his link and everyone else's links on the show notes. And Michelle has been with me since the very beginning, and then Maria, who is sitting here with me now, has been with me since the very, and then Maria, who is sitting here with me now, has been with me since the very beginning, and she is with Spanish for the Camino. That is her company. And Maria and I think we first met during, well, yeah, I know we did. We met during COVID, and we finally got to meet in person a couple of months ago when I got to Spain, and it was like meeting somebody for a blind date. I was so nervous because we have spent so much time together online. So Maria, this is your second time here at the podcast, and I'm so delighted that we're back together. You've got new stuff to talk about, and so welcome. Thank you for coming today, and thank you for all the support you've given me over the past 2 years.
Hi, and thank you for having me again.
Oh, you're welcome. So we have so many different topics to talk about, and I guess we should first say that you live in Spain, and I mean, you were born here, you grew up here, but it wasn't until you went away from Spain and came back that I think you kind of realized that the Camino was a pretty big deal. Mm-hmm. So let's maybe start there and maybe share with everyone if they haven't heard this part of your story. Let's start there. So kind of give us how that happened.
Yeah, well, I was born in Pontevedra, which is on the Camino Portugués, kind of, let's say, 3 days walk from Santiago. And I grew up here. And of course, I've always known about the Camino. I actually have family in Santiago, so I used to go to Santiago frequently. And but the Camino, we knew it was there, but it was kind of, it wasn't big at all. It was something that kind of maybe crazy people did, when you heard that someone was walking the Camino all the way from maybe from Roncesvalles, which is where people traditionally start here in Spain if they're walking the Francés. We would look at each other like, my God, crazy.
That's a long walk.
Totally. And although we have the Camino Portugués coming through town here, through Pontevedra, and we have a very famous church, the Pilgrim church, Iglesia de la Peregrina, I never saw a pilgrim walking through town. Growing up, there were no yellow arrows, scallop shells, or any other, indication that the Camino was going through town. And then after college, I went to Ireland And well, it was supposed to be for a school year. I ended up staying there for 15 years. And I was teaching Spanish, during all these years. And especially in the last couple of years, when people came to the courses, I always like to ask them, why do you want to learn Spanish? What's your motivation? And especially in the last couple of years, most of them that joined a Spanish course, the motivation was the Camino. So they had either walked the Camino with no Spanish at all, and at some point they needed to communicate with someone locally, and they felt frustrated because they just, they couldn't communicate what they needed to, or people who were planning their first Camino and wanted to learn a little bit before they got to Spain. So that got me thinking, like, wow, really? Is this so popular? How come, we in Spain were thinking that these people who walk the Camino must be a little bit, they must be, I don't know, they're a bit strange. Yes. And now I'm here in another country, and all these people are learning Spanish because they have walked the Camino already. They want to go back, or they're planning their first Camino. So yeah, that got me thinking. And then shortly after that, I moved back to Spain. I moved back to Pontevedra, my hometown. And yeah, I saw a difference there. I mean, from before, like for instance, in the mornings where I was living initially, I would go out early in the morning to bring my kids to school, and I had to walk short stretch of the Camino, and it was early in the morning. So every day, every single day, I would see at least a pilgrim. So yeah. I was like looking, this is new. I never saw one of these here before in the past. And it's not just one day, something, occasional, but I saw them on a regular basis. And so I was thinking, well, this seems to have become quite popular while I was away. So I started to, look at some information, and actually some of the people who were walking through, sometimes many of them, they were not Spanish, and looking a bit lost, and were not quite sure who to ask, how to ask. So then I remembered, about Ireland and these people, joining the courses so that they could learn a little bit and not feel like those that I was seeing now in Spain. And so that's how the idea for Spanish for the Camino, for the blog, started really when I came back, and with my experience in Ireland with all these people interested in the Camino, and then coming back and realizing that, this is not just a few strange people who like to walk a lot. This is actually, I'm seeing pilgrims here every day. So that's how it started. Yeah.
I love that story, because this is really a firsthand account of really the first time anyone on the show has ever, grew up in Spain, you grew up on the Camino Portugues, you went to university in Santiago. Mm-hmm. During your lifetime, you have seen the Camino grow in such popularity. Mm-hmm. And I'm even thinking that since you came back from Ireland to present day, minus our lockdowns, but I imagine right now you're probably seeing even more people than what you first saw back when you came back from Ireland.
Oh,
as
yes.
far as walking Pontevedra, right?
Yes, totally. I mean, where I live now, I can actually see the Camino from my balcony. So I like in the mornings, I wake up and I go there and I look out the window at the balcony and see how many pilgrims, and I see pilgrims. I mean, today only, I don't know, I couldn't count them. There were so many, just you know.
Yeah, almost everyone I've been talking to lately, including myself, seems that they're getting ready to walk the Portuguese route. So
Yeah, it's
I
becoming
feel like
very popular. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
very popular.
Mm.
So your first Camino, I can't remember now what year it was. I'll let you mention that in a second.
2019.
2019, so same year as me.
Yeah.
So you decided to walk the Camino Ingles, a section of it with your family. So take us through how that happened. Were you guys already in that area for a vacation, or what made you decide to do the Ingles first versus
No.
walking out your door, or was it the Portuguese? Do I have that wrong?
No, you got it right. You got it right. Yeah, no, well, of course, once I started, like seeing the Pilgrims and, got interested in the Camino and started the blog, then obviously the next obvious step was now I have to walk.
Uh-oh, you got to walk.
I have to walk, yes. So the Francés, for some reason, didn't appeal to me. Still doesn't appeal to me very much.
Really? Okay.
Not particularly. I mean, probably I wouldn't mind maybe visiting or walking some parts, but as a whole, I don't know. I just, it wasn't calling me, let's say. Yeah. So for some reason, again, I don't know why, I was kind of undecided between the English and the Portuguese. I guess the Portuguese would have been the most obvious choice since I live on it, but I don't know. I just decided I wanted to walk the English first. So yeah, I got my family involved. I say, hey, people, we're going to walk the Camino. So basically it was just a long weekend that the kids had a couple of extra days, of school. So we went to Ferrol and we walked for 3 days. That's how long we had. And then we got back home. So we walked from Ferrol to Betanzos.
Okay.
And that was end of February, beginning of March. So we didn't see anyone at all.
Then you walked with your family.
Apart from my family, I mean, we didn't see pilgrims. We didn't even see locals out and about. I mean, it was just like ourselves out there.
I mean, that's kind of still a winter pilgrimage, right? February, March in Galicia and the north.
Yes, and the weather wasn't, we were lucky, we didn't get caught in the rain, but there was one day where we thought we might have to stop maybe at some point during the, halfway through the stage and call a taxi because the forecast was really bad. Not just for heavy rain, but very strong winds. And it was very windy. It was almost hard to walk at times because we had the wind in our faces. But the rain held off. It did rain a lot once we got to Pontevedra. It was raining all evening, heavy rain, strong winds, really, really bad. But then the following day, it was fine. So we could walk to Betanzos and it was a lovely day and it was fine.
Because your kids were just about teenagers?
Not yet. I think maybe 10 and 12.
Okay.
Yeah, or 11 and 13. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Kind of.
So you walk these first 3 days and then you decide to go back. So in those first 3 days, did you feel like, oh, I kind of see what these Irish people, why they were so interested in doing this? Or were those first 3 days, since it was so lonely out there and the weather kind of was still a little questionable, did it not catch you as far as being something you wanted to do regularly? Or
yeah, I wasn't, I mean, it didn't put me off.
Yeah.
It didn't put me off. But yeah, I mean, you heard people talking about all the meeting other pilgrims and friendships you made and all of this. Of course, I didn't experience any of that because there was nobody out there to meet. But I said, well, I mean, it's just a different experience. I mean, yeah, maybe if I go some other time of the year when, it's not so close to winter, or I don't know, pick a different Camino, maybe it will be different. So it didn't put me off,
Okay.
obviously.
Well, obviously didn't put you off, but didn't put you in that position where it was going to be something that maybe you were going to build a whole business and do all this around. So what made you go back and then do some more stages?
Well, one of the reasons why I wanted to do it first was because I had already planned with another teacher to organize like an immersion experience on the Camino. And the other teacher, she didn't know much about the Camino, so she left all choose which Camino we're walking and those decisions to me. And that's when, I was undecided between the Portuguese and the English one. And once I decided the English one, I said, well, I would like to go and see what's out there before I go with the group, because the Portuguese, at least some of the places I'm a bit more familiar with, but not so much with the English one. So yeah, that was it. So I went with this other teacher and with this group of people in May, end of April, beginning of May of the same year, 2019. So we walked, from Ferrol to Santiago.
Okay. And that was with your Spanish immersion pilgrimage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which I should tell everyone, I'm getting ready to go on one with you, and we'll be doing the Portuguese route. So I'm super excited to do that. So I guess now would be a good time to maybe talk about what do you do on the immersions and how did you come up with this idea? And I know that you wanted to do it so badly during COVID, but we had to have a break, and that just didn't happen. But so this will be your first one since lockdown, right?
Mm-hmm.
That will be
yes.
This fall. So could you maybe share with everyone kind of your philosophy, how it started, and what you're hoping to do with this next one?
Yeah, I had the idea, here I was thinking things I would like to do in the future. I don't know when in the future. And I thought, it would be nice to maybe be able to walk the Camino with people who are learning Spanish, who want to improve their Spanish. But I didn't feel ready at the time to, do that on my own. And then this other teacher I knew online, we actually hadn't met in person, we just knew each other online. One day she contacted me and when we started talking, and she was like, I like this idea of the Camino, and I have some ideas of things I would like to do. And I said, well, I would like to do this, but I don't feel ready yet. And she said, oh my God, that's what I was, that's what I had in mind. That's what I wanted to do too. But she had experience organizing like immersion retreats in Spain in the same place. So I don't know if the retreat was for 4 or 5 days. They were staying in the same place, same city for the duration of it, not walking the Camino and staying in a different place every night. But she did have that experience. And so we decided to do it together. And we did. So we got, I think we had 7 people that came. And basically the idea is, it's an immersion. So speak Spanish all the time. And the conversation, we did prepare beforehand some materials, and we did have topics for conversation and all that, but we didn't really need to use any of that because all the conversation just, kind of flowed organically. Everything, just happened naturally. So yeah, basically we spent 6 days walking the Camino and speaking Spanish. And it was an amazing experience. I wasn't, I mean, I had my doubts, many doubts before we started, because first of all, I'm an introvert, so I wasn't quite sure how, having to spend a whole week with a bunch of strangers 24/7. And it's like, okay, I'm the teacher, like I'm organizing this. I cannot just say, okay, people leave me alone. I need some, I need to be by myself. I need to be available. So yeah, there were too many things going around in my head, but I mean, no, it was an amazing experience. I really enjoyed it.
That seems pretty typical though, right? We always have all these fears before we go out on any pilgrimage,
Yes.
right? And usually it's not those things that end up being the challenge for us, whether you are just walking as a pilgrim normally, or if you're leading a group, I would imagine it's probably kind of the same thing. So that's interesting. So now this next time you're going to be doing the Portuguese route. So you've changed routes. So this will be the first time.
Yeah, we should have done it in 2020, but as you know, we had to cancel.
Now, are there any spots still available? I know that you said
possibly one at the moment. I'm waiting for someone's confirmation, but I don't think this person was not very sure that they could attend. So possibly there could be one spot available. Yeah.
Okay. Well, this episode will definitely be out, I think, in plenty of time if they still wanted to sign up, because the actual pilgrimage is the last week of September.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So I will have a link to it, everyone, in case you have an interest. And if this timing's not right for you, I'm sure she's going to be doing more down the road. So you will make sure you have her website and all that information. So I guess let's kind of switch directions here and talk a little bit about, so you went on the Ingles and then you did the retreat and you already have the blog going and you're kind of, I guess, simultaneously developing Spanish for the Camino. And you know this, I tell you this all the time, that I love your workbooks. I love the concept of what you're doing. So I've been very familiar the last 2 years, but I'm sure there's some folks that are going to be listening or watching that aren't aware yet and are going to be interested once they do hear. So maybe share with us a little bit about some of the stuff you're doing with that and what your products are, that sort of thing.
Well, I started, as I mentioned earlier, with the blog. So every post I write about something, well, obviously related to the Camino. The posts are in English because the idea is to help those who have no Spanish at all. So if the posts are in Spanish, obviously they wouldn't be able to read them. So the posts are in English, but they all contain, I don't know, between 5 and 10, usually between 5 and 10 Spanish words or phrases. And they all include the audio too, so you can listen to them, because this is something that really annoys me about phrase lists. When you get you go on holidays or something, they speak another language and you get a phrase list, and I look at them and I go like, okay, what am I supposed to do with this? I don't know how to pronounce any of this. If I try to pronounce it the way I would pronounce it as a Spaniard, they probably won't have a clue what I'm trying to say. And when they reply back, I'm not going to understand any of the answers either, because I don't know how any of these words sound. So that was important to me to include the audio there. So that's how it started. I mean, I do lessons too. I do one-to-one. Sometimes I organize groups. Mainly I've been organizing them for beginners. And well, the immersion, of course, which the idea would be to do maybe once a year, do one every year. And then the workbooks you mentioned, they're not available at the moment because I want to change a few things, but basically it was a collection of 6 workbooks, each one focusing on a topics that are all related to the Camino. So for instance, there was one about accommodation, so accommodation related vocabulary, how to ask for a room, for or or different things. Just accommodation in general, how to, manage accommodation, or another one about health, if you have any health issues, how to explain what's wrong with you, or, things like that, what you need or not, or, if you need to go see a doctor and explain what the problem is, food, ordering food, and, things like that. Well, there were 6 in total. I'm kind of improving them, I think. Anyway, that's the idea, to improve them.
Already, I can't even imagine what you're going to do to improve.
I just want to change a few things around. I have to update a few things. For instance, in the health one, with the pandemic, I did add an extra section on kind of pandemic related vocabulary that was quite relevant at the time, but at the moment it's not so relevant anymore. So I probably just take those out and maybe add something else. So yeah, I just wanted to update it and improve them a little bit. And then recently I published a short novel in Spanish, easy Spanish for kind of beginners. I mean, again, not if you're a total beginner, but for beginners, it's easy. And it's a story set on the Camino, and it's a woman's experience on the Camino Ingles. So it covers again all the topics. This woman she's not Spanish, so she has to go and find accommodation. She needs to go and, buy train or bus tickets, and needs to order food at a restaurant, things like that. And of course, there's the story of, people she meets and what happens and all of that too in the story.
Well, I've been reading the book, and do you have a copy of the book with you? Because mine is on.
Yeah, I have it here.
Mine's electronic. So
it's not huge, and the print is kind of big. So yeah, and you have every chapter has a few a short list of words, the kind of hardest in the chapter. You have them all listed at the back.
Hold it up again, Maria, so people can see the cover, and tell everyone the title.
Mi primer Camino de Santiago, because it's this woman's first experience on the Camino.
So it's about 20 chapters long, I believe, right?
20 chapters, yeah, short chapters. Okay. If you can see the book there, you can see it's not a huge book. So each chapter is a couple of pages.
And I really loved how you weaved in so Emma, our lead in the book, is from Ireland. So I was like, this is great. Yes. And I really love how you just weave everything in about the Ingles, and how there's a lesson, and it's almost kind of like reading a Camino memoir while also learning Spanish at the same time. So you're learning about the Ingles, also about a first pilgrim experience and typical experiences, like you said, and then also getting some Spanish practice. So it's very clever how you put all that together.
Thank you.
So I guess let's go back to you started writing this probably like last year. I mean, I know the idea had been percolating for a while. Yes. When did you actually sit down and say, I'm going to do this book?
Yes, the idea, well, not for this book in particular, but I've always liked the idea of writing books for Spanish students, because, well, for 2 reasons. First, me as a language learner, I enjoy reading stories in the languages I'm learning. And also I've used stories with my students in the past, and well, I still use them, but it's, they work. It's a nice way of learning. So, but, sometimes stories that are out there, this is not exactly what I want. So it's like, maybe I should write my own so I can include there whatever I want. So I had that idea probably more than 10 years ago.
Wow.
And I did actually start writing probably 2-3 times back then. Nothing about the Camino, it was just something else. But yeah, I didn't have a clear plan. I wasn't quite sure. Okay, just knew that I wanted to write a book, but I didn't really know what I wanted to write. So anyway, that was left in there. Probably every now and then I find notes for that book still in the house. So nothing happened with that. But this idea of writing a book kept coming back. Every now and then I would think about it again. Oh, the book. Yeah, I should write some book. When I finished walking the Ingles, although I know some people would say or think that you have to walk like for a whole month to get the full, I don't know, Camino experience or the effects of the Camino. I disagree. I think you can get that in a week.
I agree.
No problem. I walked for a week with this group, and actually, yeah, I thought it would be okay. This is just, something I'm doing for work with these people. I don't know. Santiago, okay, it's not like so many people, like maybe you, the first time you had never been to Santiago, you get there for the first time and it's so exciting. I mean, I lived in Santiago for 3 years when I was in college. I was sick and tired of walking in front of the cathedral across the square and everything. So, it wasn't anything new or, exotic for me, but still getting to Santiago at the end of the Camino was quite an emotional experience. And
yeah, you and I talked about that. It kind of surprised you because, like
yes,
you said,
totally.
you went to school here. I mean, you grew up near here.
Yeah.
You went to school here, and you weren't really expecting the emotions that you felt. Let's talk about that a second.
That was like. I wasn't expecting that. I thought like, okay, it's just another day in Santiago,
Right.
No, nothing new here. But no, like, I mean, the last day was so hard. It was a short day because it's only around 16 kilometers, I think. First, it felt like forever. On the one hand, it's like, where is Santiago? Are they moving it further and further away? Why are we not there yet? But on the other hand, it was like, oh, I don't want this to finish. I was having such a great time, enjoying so much, talking to these people, getting to know them, becoming friends, that I didn't really want it to end. So it was quite an emotional experience to get to Santiago and if I'm finishing, this Camino. So then I went home and I was like, trying to adjust back to normal life. So I did start writing a bit, not the story, but just thoughts and things, just writing for the sake of writing. And so again, this idea of the book came back again. And it was becoming stronger, coming back more frequently. I did try to start writing it, and I did actually, in fact, write probably 7 or 8 chapters, maybe. But then I got stuck again. And I was like, oh, what can I do? And then I just one day I said, okay, no, I need to do something. I met some writing coach, and she had some couple of things. First of all, she had some, like a document with a few different things to get you organized before you actually start writing. So get your plan, first, and outline your book and all the things you want to cover. So I did that. I had more or less, although I did change it later, but I had, all the chapters outlined. Okay, chapter 1, this is what I want to write about, chapter 2, 3, and so on. And then I joined like a writing marathon just to get me started. So it was like 4 hours of writing. It was online, so it was in a group. So at the beginning of the hour, you have to say, okay, what your goals for the next hour were. And then at the end of the hour, we all come back and say, okay, did you achieve your goals or not? So I wrote there. It was 4 hours. I wrote the first 4 chapters.
Oh, now how did you find the writing coach?
Someone recommended her to me. A friend who is also a teacher was following this coach already, and said, oh, look, she's organizing this writing session and all that, because she knew I wanted to write this book, so this might interest you. And I said, sure, why not? I need to do something, needs to change here, or I'm going to be stuck forever. So yeah, it was just a friend who recommended her.
So are you glad that you did that process?
Yes, because once I managed to more or less finish those 4 chapters there, that gave me some momentum just to keep writing. So actually after that I kept writing, and every day I would try to find at least some short period of time to write a little bit more. So I just kept going. Then when I was almost finished, because fears kicked in again. Right. So I stopped when I had 2 chapters left to finish. And everything stopped there for a while. And then everything else was finished. I just needed the last 2 chapters. And so what I did to get over that, I'm in a group with other Spanish teachers, and I told them, guys, give me a date to finish this book.
Okay.
You set the date, and if you give me the date and I say I will do it, then I will do it. Because I said here in public, I committed to this, so now I have to do it. So they gave me a date, and I finished it before that day.
Well, I have to say, from somebody that has observed a lot of what you're doing and putting out into the world, it's not like the book was your only project. I mean, you wrote this while you were still working on Spanish for the Camino and doing your regular blog posts. I mean, you're very consistent in getting information out and educating everybody in the Camino community. You're very active in supporting pilgrims that are asking questions on the various Facebook groups. You're doing private lessons, you're doing group lessons. I mean, you're a busy gal and you've got a family, right? So you really did juggle a lot of things at one time as you were doing this book. So kudos to you. Like, I'm so impressed that you got this book out into the world. And I should say to everyone that it's available in Kindle and in hardback or soft cover book, right? And did you self-publish? I'm assuming you did. You and I never really discussed that part.
Yeah,
so you
I did, yeah.
What did you find that difficult?
Well, I had a few technical issues, but Amazon is not very helpful. I mean, you have to go through so many different things. They don't make it easy for you, but I mean, it was okay. I mean, just it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, I mean, because you even have photos in the book. I mean, you've got a lot going on in the book. So Okay. So, if we look at if somebody's sitting at home right now and they have walked the Camino, what tips would you give them if you had to say, okay, if I had to rewrite this book, here are maybe 2 or 3 things that I would have done differently, just kind of give people, or things that you would have done again that would help people in getting their book out into the world?
For me, the planning before I started was essential, because I think the reason, or I think no, I'm convinced the reason why I never finished the other 100 times I started was because I didn't have a clear plan of what I wanted to write. I have a vague idea, but not a clear plan. And this time, yes, I had on a page like an outline of the book, each chapter. Okay, this is chapter 1. As I said, as I was writing, I ended up changing it. It was, my original plan was for 15 chapters. It's now 20. So I added some extra, had to rearrange a couple of things. But at least, you have to be flexible. But I had a plan. And that was, I'd say, for me, probably the most important thing, having that plan. And it also helped this kind of kickstart, the 4-hour session, because at least I saw, I had the plan, so it was easy. I know what I'm going to write. Those 7 or 8 chapters I had written before, I ended up not using them. So it's completely different.
Okay.
So I changed a few things, but yeah, getting that start, at least you see, okay, I've made progress and I have a plan. So now I just have to look at my plan. What's the next chapter about? This. Okay, let me sit down here and try to find every day an hour, or even if it's less, but just keep it going. Because for me, at least, it's like if I stop and leave it for, let's say, a week, then it becomes harder to get back to it. But if you keep it going, it's like, yeah, your things are rolling. Yeah, you keep writing. Okay, I mean, if it's only a couple of lines that I write today, but at least I get the feeling that I'm making some progress.
Yeah.
So
Kind of like a Camino, right? Step by step on the Camino, right?
Yeah. You don't have to do it all at once, but at least, just get the momentum and keep going, even if it's very slowly.
Yeah, even when it gets hard and all the things, right? So I'm wondering, Maria, somebody's probably listening here and thinking, why should I learn Spanish, first of all, to walk the Camino? And then from your experience you've been giving lessons for so long, and you have literally walked with people in an immersion situation. What do you think is most challenging for English speakers trying to learn Spanish? What are the common things that you see, and how could they go about working on those couple of things?
Well, one thing I think people sometimes overlook is the pronunciation, and it makes all the difference, because if you're pronouncing things wrong, even if you know the words, but if you're mispronouncing them, people might not understand you unless they're used to dealing with foreigners, talking to people with strong foreign accents. So that's something, I would probably, and that's why, I mentioned earlier that have the audios for all the words that are in the blog. That was important for me for that reason. But then my advice is, don't be afraid. Nobody cares if your grammar is not perfect. People will appreciate any effort you make to speak the language. So that's it. I mean, just try, even if it's only a few words that you can learn before you get to Spain. I'm sure you will pick up a few more while you're there, if you try. But don't be afraid. It doesn't matter if it's not perfect, if your grammar is it's a mess. Nobody is going to be judging you on how correct your grammar is or anything like that. They're just going to appreciate that you make the effort. And you get so much more out of it, because you see people sometimes the ones you see here who are totally lost and you don't know who to ask. But apart from that, then you see, or you read, I should say, comments on like Facebook groups or things like that. The people, they get things totally wrong, about Spain, because they come with their ideas. So they see everything through those beliefs, those ideas they have, and which might be incorrect, but because they don't talk to anybody, they don't they don't interact with anyone local, they go back home with the same misconceptions. And it's a pity, because you're in the country. It's a great opportunity to not just walk, but learn about the country, about the culture, the history, everything. I mean, you're there. What better place to learn than maybe read it on a book? No, you're there, you can live it, and you're missing that opportunity.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I can attest to the fact that you're absolutely right. When while living here in Spain, I'm still working very hard to try to learn Spanish. But even when I make many mistakes, when I go into a restaurant or a store, everybody is so kind to me, and they'll just be like, tranquilo, tranquilo, poco, poco, like no one expects us to speak fluently on the spot. But I think when they sense that we're making an effort, I find that if they do speak English, many times they will switch to English for me. And sometimes I'm like, no, please stay in Spanish. But I think I definitely see that they feel good about the fact that we're at least trying, and not expecting somebody to speak back to us in our language, but attempting, because we are in Spain. And I think showing the respect that we are in your country, and that we're at least trying, I think makes the interactions so much more pleasant. And you end up learning a lot more about the culture and about the people that live here, which then takes it all back to we're all the same when it comes down to it, right? We just speak a different language, but we all have the same concerns and the same desires and interests and things like that. And you won't learn that if you aren't able to have some simple exchanges. You write so many helpful posts, and you've had some really popular ones out there. Do you want to share maybe any recent things? You had a rant recently, and then you've been educating on many different things. There was something about the siesta. There was something about the grocery store.
Don't get me started on the siesta. Those comments really trigger me. I know I have a problem with the siesta.
I think we should talk about it, because I think, that has been something new to me in living here. I didn't notice it as much as I was walking, other than, I'd have to make a mad dash to make sure I get somewhere before the pharmacia closes or things like that. So yeah, I think we should kind of maybe just use this last little bit of our time to kind of just talk about, maybe educate us on the whole concept of the siesta and what it really is about, versus I think the stereotypes that are out there today.
Yeah, I mean, the stereotype, and I think that's what what I don't like, what just gets me a bit angry, is the fact that it's like people think that in Spain I don't know, maybe around noon or 1 p.m. we just go to bed and sleep for 3-4 hours in the middle of the day, when really nobody does that. Okay. Siesta, I mean, it makes sense. First of all, what people on these forums and stuff, when they talk about siesta, really what happens is what we call not siesta, but lunchtime, right? Lunch is the main meal in Spain. And as you all know and you have experienced, we eat lunch late. I mean, there's some, historic reasons why that is the case. Like we're in the wrong time zone. We shouldn't be in the Central European time, but same time as Portugal and the UK. But anyway, thing is, our lunch is late and it's the main meal of the day. So unless you live in a big city like Madrid, Barcelona, somewhere like that, where maybe you have to commute, you have a long commute and it's not worth for you to go home and have lunch. If you live in a smaller place, people, they finish work, they go home, they have lunch, big lunch, and then they go back to work. Mm-hmm. So that's what's happening during those maybe 3-4 hours. And that's why shops are closed. And yeah, mostly everything is closed because people are going home to have lunch with their families. Mm-hmm. And tops, they take a short nap, which is like, okay, you sit down on the sofa and doze off for 15-20 minutes and that's it. But nobody is sleeping for 3-4 hours. You also have to keep in mind, because I've read comments of, and this was in the summer. This is why, it's relevant that it was during the summer that the person wrote the comment, because there's like, yeah, I went out in this town, I don't know, whatever town they were in, and it was deserted because, everybody's having siesta till, I don't know, 7 or 8. I said, no, people, this is the summer. It's very hot. Who in their right mind is out and about, walking around the city at 4, 5, 6 p.m. when it's maybe 40 degrees outside? It's roasting. No, you stay somewhere in the shade, or if you're near the coast, you go to the beach, or you go to a pool, or you just stay somewhere where you can be fresh. It doesn't mean that because you don't see the people outside, it doesn't mean that they're in bed sleeping for 5 hours in the middle of the day. It's just, and siesta made sense in the past, especially, in the country where, the farmers, they couldn't go out and work at 2-3 p.m. They would probably die of a heat stroke if they did, especially in some parts of Spain. So that's, that's why you don't see people out. If it's the summer, it's hot, people stay in or go somewhere where they can be a bit cooler until it's not so hot outside. People are home having lunch with their families. We're not sleeping 3, 4, 5 hours in the middle of the day.
No. And, if you think about it, it's kind of like the way that we walk the Camino. We tend to get up early. We want to be in the towns by 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock, before it's getting really hot, especially in the summer, because it's harder to walk. And you're right. Most of the advice that I've read about that the siesta part is really just that tiny little bit of a nap that maybe it's never really in your bed. It might be sitting in a chair, maybe
just on the sofa, maybe. Yeah.
So it's just a small rest. And what I've learned really is it was an adjustment for me in moving here, and that things were closing earlier, but it's really nice on the other hand that things open up again later once it's cooled off, and so it's not that you can't get the things that you need. It's just learning
when you can get them. Yes, you just need to change your schedule. Yeah,
exactly. And once you begin to adjust, now I really love that 20-minute just kind of closing my eyes, because again, lunch is that big meal of the day, and then we're staying up pretty late for dinner, and so it's nice to have had just a few minutes with the eyes closed. But yes, no one's napping for 3 and 4 hours a day, and people are going back to work after that. So even if they're still working a full day, it's just the day is broken up differently than what it might be in the UK or in the United States.
Yeah.
So I think it's really great, Maria, when you're out there correcting people and trying to educate people about what life is really like in Spain. So I know that you're super appreciated in all the groups, and it's time and time again I see when somebody's like, oh, I want to learn Spanish, your name comes up all the time. And you've certainly been a big help to me and to the community here. And I'm just so glad that your experience in life brought you back to the Camino so that you can be a part of all of this and be an ambassador and a leader on the Camino. I think it's definitely needed, and you are definitely serving an important role there. So wow, and congratulations on your book. I'll make sure that I have the links to the book in the show notes, and I hope everyone gets out there and reads it. I'm certainly going to be using it on this walk that I'm going on I won't be on the Ingles on this upcoming walk. I'll be in Portugal, but still the same word. Well, not in Portugal, but I'll be on the Portuguese. So I'll still be using Spanish. And then, of course, I'm going to be walking the Ingles. And there's one more spot maybe left on the immersion. So if you want to come and join Maria, I'll be doing that immersion with her, and I can't wait to do that. And wow, thank you for coming back. It's always a pleasure to have you here at the Camino Cafe. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Well, you're welcome. And I just want to ask everybody, if you enjoy what we're doing here at the Camino Cafe, please share this interview. Help us get the word out to folks, that, especially the people that are walking for the first time. Let them know about this interview, and that if they're wanting to learn some more Spanish to enhance their experience while walking, that there's a resource in Maria, and hopefully they will seek her out. So I'm just going to say goodbye to everyone. Maria, stay on so you and I can say goodbye. And we'll be back very shortly with another episode with Camino stories and other things that you can learn about the Camino. So thanks for coming, everyone.